But boy, let me tell you, 4 inches feels pretty dang good, if you know what I mean. All right, we are rolling. All right, welcome back to the CAMO Convoy podcast. I'm your host, Nick, and the self-appointed president of Central Appalachia Mountain Overland. Tonight, we're going to talk about the 24 Hours of Appalachia Miners and Loggers Delight Rally. With us tonight, we have some participants and some co-drivers from that event. So let's go around the horn. Let's do some introductions. We have some new faces. First up, I have Logan. What's up, man?
How's it going? Good to be here. Excited.
So you were in the rally. Tell us what you were running.
Yep, 2001 Mercury Mountaineer with the
yeah.
V8. So that was fun.
Nice. And Curtis, I know you weren't with us, but it's if you want to just give a brief what's up.
Yeah, hey, great to be back again. Did not make it. Had to pull out like the last minute there, day before. Unfortunately, some stuff going on here. But yeah, still driving the 2016 Tundra, the Turd Pro.
Heck yeah. Kyle?
I was driving the 2014 Jeep Cherokee Trailhawk.
Pretty in orange. Aaron?
Hey, I co-drove for Ross in his, I think it's a 22 Bronco 6-speed, which fantastic vehicle, guys.
Nice. And Patrick?
Came up in the back with a 1997 Mitsubishi Montero SR.
Right. I love that thing. Triple locked, right?
Yeah, triple locked.
And I had the red Nissan Frontier, 2012. So for those of you and anyone listening that aren't totally familiar with what the 24 Hours of Appalachia is, just real brief overview. So it is a rally, not a race, mostly.
Even though Sean called it a race.
Essentially, the way that it works is 1 week before the event, all of the competitors are given a GPX file, and then it's our responsibility to go through that file, pick out our gas stops, look at any obstacles there may be, and come up with a plan for our rally so that we can be the most efficient at it. I believe the final mileage for this one, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, was 502 miles. So this one was pretty long. The staging format, when you go to registration, you select whether you want to be A class, B class, or C class, and then the 3 classes for vehicles are full size, side by side, and bikes. So if you are an A class, it means you've done a rally before, or you are a legitimate professional driver, and you're there to compete. B class, you're either new to rallies or you're just there to have a good time. And C class, you're there with a group, meaning you would go out together, or, it's like a Sunday drive for you. You might compete, you might not, but you just want to check it out. So what did you guys think? I know I have my own opinions on it that are, I think, maybe an outlier, but what did you guys think of the overall format of how we left, Logan?
Somehow I pulled out like second or third in the full size in general. So I thought it was great, but no, I mean, I think it was good. I don't really... Yeah, full size, I think it's kind of fine, whatever. I do think it'd be kind of good probably if bikes went out before side-by-sides maybe, and they gave them like a good 30-minute. I don't know. I'm kind of more of a bike guy than anything. I just know it. Wait a minute. Did they let the side-by-sides go out first or the bikes?
I think it was side-by-sides first.
But the B
class
class
was the side-by-sides first. Okay.
and C class side-by-sides and bikes started after A class full size, which
yeah,
I did
right.
not enjoy.
That's what I'm more saying is like right. Yeah. I think that's what I was thinking was let all the bikes and side-by-sides go ahead of all the vehicles. I think.
Yeah, we ran into that where we started at the tail end of A class for full size. It was every 10 seconds it felt like a side-by-side or bike was on our ass just out of nowhere on that first stage.
Yeah, especially because you got to figure, a good bit of the bikes and side-by-sides that were in B class may have been very good and very competitive riders. They just hadn't done one before and they were quick. So I imagine that mixed with the dust was probably not ideal. Kyle, where did you guys end up starting?
What's that?
Where did you guys end up starting?
I was 53, so about halfway into B.
Okay. Now, did you guys run into that with the bikes and side-by-sides filtering up through?
It wasn't too bad. We were getting more of the people that were like the bikes that were stopping, trying to get the dust to settle down a little bit before they took off. Because that morning dust, that was terrible. I don't know about you when you left at 6, like you left early in the morning.
Yeah.
But we would crest some of those farm hills. As soon as the trees were gone, we had to stop because we couldn't see anything.
Yeah, definitely. Aaron, where were you guys?
We were almost tail end of A class right at the beginning. And it was like Kyle said, it was complete dust. Probably they could have done some more time in between releasing them, especially how dusty the conditions were.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that dust was ridiculous. For anyone that hadn't seen it or hadn't heard anything or seen any pictures, we'd been in a drought for what, 2 weeks, or longer, maybe longer.
I think it was like 2-3 weeks before they finally got rain down there.
And I would say at least 80% of the first stage was gravel. So it was pretty difficult with that dust. Patrick, you guys were towards the back of A as well, right?
I'm more toward the middle, actually. I was number 28,
Okay.
so I wasn't that far behind you, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, I just got caught up in traffic and stuff, and of course people wanting to pass all the time, so constantly having to pull over and let people pass.
Yeah, I pulled a lucky number. I ended up going out number 12. So number 12 for full size ended up making me I think maybe like the 4th or 5th out. And that
I think
was
you were 2 minutes. I looked at the timesheet, 2 minutes behind me, which would have been like 4 vehicles, right?
Yeah, so that was really nice because essentially once I got by, I think there's a Jeep, and then Logan, you were in front of me when I passed you guys. I didn't really see anybody until the Grenadier and the Gladiator. So I fortunately didn't deal with a lot of dust, but I know that I was for sure a generator of a lot
Now
of
that
dust.
I think about it, when they got to me, they started releasing people every 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And that's why we got so cramped up. They were kind of right behind me.
Okay.
Yeah, once I caught Patrick in the first stage, it was a train of probably 10 vehicles at that point in the dust.
Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting, Nick. You guys mentioned, so I just pulled up the actual results class times just because I got curious. You mentioned, the release, the staging, and that side of things. But, looking at the times for like A class and B class for the side by sides and the bikes, the time split's not like it's very, very similar, for completion. Like, side by sides, the fastest guy in A class, what?
I think we lost your audio there, Curtis.
You muted yourself.
Yeah.
There you go.
Thanks, Nick. That's awkward.
You're good.
Yeah, no, as I was saying, like the fastest guys, like there's like a few outliers from the A class to the B class, but it's like, 3. So I really think, if they do end up doing like side by side motorcycles, stage and launch them together, because their timing's really dang close. Like the fastest bike was 14 hours and 24 minutes, the fastest side by side, 14 hours, 21 minutes.
Right.
You can stage the bikes, the side by sides together, do an A class and a B class, and then do all the full size rigs after. Because we all love ourselves and we're cocky, but let's be honest, the probability of us being faster than the majority of these side by sides or bikes is slim.
Yeah. I think I was definitely an outlier in the sense that I enjoyed it because, selfishly, it didn't affect me really until like stage 2 when I started kind of getting jumbled up with side by sides, which at that point was kind of fun, but I imagine first thing in the morning that was not super fun for everybody. So
no, for sure. Like I'm just thinking of, in reference to say Mothman, where that's kind of what they did. They launched all the side by sides first, and like we picked them off here and there, but for the most part, everyone was pretty well split up by the time we started passing side by sides. We had the whole different issue of getting jumbled up in the beginning, 100 miles. But
yeah,
I think the class system itself, from the sounds of how it ran, really mitigated that kind of getting bunched up, right?
Yeah, I think so. I hadn't heard anyone complain about like a Congo line of full sides like what we had in Mothman. So
that was rough.
So that was good. So as far as the actual route, what did you guys think of that? What was your experience like, Logan?
This is the first one I've done that is a lap based one, or that starts and ends in the same place. So that was cool. Definitely different than Mothman to come back to town. Mothman's the only other one I did. I was kind of surprised about all the locals and just hearing some stories about that stuff. It is what it is, but I think how we're going to do it with the new system should help a lot. I mean, it's kind of being in a full size, you kind of sort of know you're not the problem as far as the locals getting mad because there's only been a couple full size in front of you by the time you get there if you're towards the front. So
right,
unfortunately, it's probably a lot of side by sides and or bikes, and they're loud and fast.
Well, that's the big thing.
I feel for those guys if you're in the middle of the pack and you're not romping on it all the time, but
yeah, Yeah, I think it's twofold with the bikes and side by sides. I mean, first off, they're just louder, especially a side by side. It could be cruising at 20 miles an hour, but it sounds like 80. They're wound out, as it is. And then as far as the locals getting mad, I'm sure there's instances where folks are going faster than they should, but I think even more so what it is, these people don't see traffic on their roads. If they see a car, it's someone that they know. And then all of a sudden they're seeing 1, 2 bikes. Okay, these guys are on a ride. Well, now there's 7, 10, 20 side by
Right.
sides and a whole bunch of trucks. So I think it's kind of human nature for folks to just get pissed because they like to be pissed. I mean, I know there was a guy on this last one. This is my road. What are you doing on my road? And it was, unfortunately, it had to be explained to him that actually that road that you've been calling yours is the county's road, and the county
Yeah.
plows it.
Right. Yeah. It's the King's Road, and you're paying the king money. So
Yeah. And I think, another thing really to take into consideration too, it's like the Google review type of idea, if you have a bad experience, you're more likely to call in, more likely to leave a review and complain. And I think really what will help it in the future is, the folks in the communities that love it, the small business owners, those guys, everyone's speaking out and being loud and saying 24-hour, everything Backroads Appalachia does, it's phenomenal. It's amazing. We did, it's the best weekend we've ever had here. It's awesome to see all these new people visiting the area and getting like actual community just to speak out about the good than having, the few locals just complain, right? Because otherwise it's the same thing. You're just more likely to complain. That's human nature.
I think there was another issue with communication didn't go down through the emergency management people like 911 and the local sheriff's department, because I know Jed had said that all those people were notified of the event taking place in their area, but that doesn't mean they passed the word down to the sheriff's deputy that's out on patrol that day or that's
Right.
responding to these people's calls.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't even know what the education looks like for those departments. I mean, I'm sure it's a new thing for them. They don't necessarily have a training or a SOP for, hey, what do we do when a bunch of hillbillies come through on motorcycles, bikes, and trucks? But
well,
yeah,
we all have numbers and names plastered on the side of our vehicles too.
Yeah.
I just don't want this stuff to get shut down. I don't think it will. I think they'll take steps to mitigate it, but that's why I kind of mentioned it.
And I think, really just these events growing and growing and growing and growing, it's the best way, like next year, the guys, the cops, the sheriffs, and everything's like, oh, I remember that from last year. And the following year, oh, I remember from that. And next thing you know, they're excited about it.
Yeah, definitely. As far as the route and being en route, Kyle, how'd you guys do?
We actually did really good. There was one area that we kind of got mixed up on. I think it was on 2. It was that one where Jed went up the hill and then came back down and went to the left.
Yeah.
But at first, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little worried on how this trail was gonna be being 3 different routes. But once you pinned off like where the direction you're supposed to go for each one, it really wasn't that bad.
Yeah. I thought the navigation, without seeing it firsthand, it was a little bit intimidating. But once you were there, it really made sense when you were in town, the way you needed to go.
Yeah.
One of the things that I did that helped, and I imagine most folks did something similar, is wherever the first turn was on the loop, I just put a little pin. I think I used the flag or the sign thing in Gaia, so I knew aim for that, and I'll be on my correct route.
Yeah, I did color coordination too. So like route 1 was one color, route 2 and 4 were one color, and 3 was a different color.
Yeah,
just so that way I can keep in mind which direction I have to go for each one.
I went another step further than the colors. I ended up putting each lap in a different subfolder, and I'd switch the folder each lap, so I only had one showing.
Oh, that's good.
I
didn't
I like that.
I didn't think of that.
I'm gonna make a note of that. I like that. That's cool.
Yeah.
Nice. So Kyle, you guys unfortunately did not cross the line after lap 4. So talk to us a little bit about what happened and what you ran into to call it an early day.
So lap 1 went perfect. That's a very easy lap. I think as Nick said in the beginning of this, it was probably about 80% was just like back dirt roads. 2, we got about 75% of the way through, and we hit it wasn't very technical, but either my Jeep's transmission or transfer case started overheating. And I started getting kicked out of 4-wheel drive. I only had front wheel drive in this. These newer Jeeps, they have sensors all over the place, as most new cars do. So the fluid was starting to get a little hot, and it was basically putting itself in limp mode. So that way it didn't do any more damage. I had my scanner with me. I scanned the codes, figured out exactly what it was. I let it sit for about a half hour. And after that, we were good. We made it the rest of the way out to Trail 19, which I forget the name, something knob out there. But I wanted to finish the rest of the rally just to say I can do it.
Yeah.
7.5, 8-hour ride home. I made the decision just to say, let me call it. So that way I know I can actually make it all the way home. Well, drop James off as well. I did drop James off and then go home as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, not everyone was a big old dork and brought their truck on a trailer. No, I think you probably made the right call. I mean, you had one of the longest drives, actually. You were probably, when it's all said and done, 9-10 hours? But
From
by the time you
Hinton-
got James back,
Yeah. By the time I got James back, dropped him off between fuel stops and everything, I think it was about 9.5 hours total.
yeah. That's what
But-
a lot of people don't understand is that's pretty gutsy. You know,
Yeah.
that's the car that you got to get home so you get to work on Monday.
Yeah.
And you
I mean,
run it.
it's one thing if I did have if I had a trailer like you did, or any, like most of the people that went down there had trailers, I would have sent it the entire way. I wouldn't even care.
Yeah.
Because I literally live, if I walk to work, I have about a 10-minute walk. Like if I walked from my house to work, it takes me 3 minutes to drive to work.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I think that's something that sets out a lot of people there, right? Like there's a lot of guys doing it in their dailies. Like I know
Yeah.
I did Mothman in my daily,
Yeah.
broke my daily doing Mothman.
Yeah.
And I think that just puts a whole different level of how you have to approach it, what your thought process is and going for it. You know, like watching you run it, Nick, you checkers or wreckers, and it's fucking awesome. I wish I could, but
Yeah.
the same thing, like everyone, you got to kind of think like Kyle too in that situation.
He was that way before he had the trailer, so now it's even worse.
Well, I think,
I know I followed him in Mothman. This is why I couldn't finish Mothman.
I think as far as like the spirit of Overland, you guys that are doing it that way, where, it is a daily or it's something that you didn't bring on a trailer. I mean, truthfully, that's the way it should be. And if I'm being honest, like I just wanted to play with my big red toy and tow it down there.
Man, watching your video, it's nothing else. If anyone listening here hasn't actually seen the video, look it up on YouTube. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, we had a good time. I think this one was fun. Aaron, what was you guys' experience like on trail? I didn't really get to talk to you guys too much about what all went down in the Blueberry.
No, it's almost too easy in that Bronco. When I started driving, I did 2-wheel drive that entire lap 3 and 4.
Yeah.
I think I went 4-wheel drive maybe one time, and the rest of the time after Ross told me you can put the locker on in 2-wheel drive, that's all I did. So
yeah,
Nice.
Honestly, this is the easiest of their events. I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's a very entry level event. The route was laid out very well, good mix of roads, and we just trucked along. We stayed behind Patrick because he was down on power a little bit, so we just stayed behind him. But he made it though.
Heck yeah. Yeah, I've said, I know Steven in Camo, he's got that Ranger Raptor. And I think any of those EcoBoost power planted Fords are like the vehicle. If you're going to go buy one off the showroom floor, that's probably the route. And I'm like, even though I daily an F-150, like I'm not a Ford guy at all.
No.
But I think if they're working, if they're functioning, they're the way to go. They're plenty capable for everything these rallies are going to throw out. I mean, truthfully, even Kentucky and the power and fuel economy, man, you guys probably got what, like 18 miles to the gallon?
I think we were 16 and 17 or so, but
Yeah. I got 7.
Nice. Yeah, exactly.
I think I was averaging like 12.
Aaron, how is it doing the rally in a manual? I think that's what I want to know because, man, I mean, I've daily manuals before and hate it in traffic. It is what it is, but you love it on the rides. But doing that for what, 22 hours straight, you guys finished in, I think?
Yeah, we were 21:57. Yeah. But honestly, it's probably one of the easiest manuals I've driven. So I've driven the automatic Bronco before off road, and of course it's automatic. It's easy. You can do a one touch pedal, all that stuff. When the manual comes in, I could feather the clutch easily. I could put it in its crawl low gear and just not even touch the clutch really, and just use the throttle. It was
Yeah.
stupid simple. Now an
Nice.
older one, I haven't driven a manual off road in a long time, so.
Yeah.
But this new
it's-
stuff, this new Bronco is fantastic.
Yeah,
No,
I
that's
bet you
awesome.
I bet the engine braking was so nice as well. Instead of burning up brakes, just using the clutch and gears. Yeah, I know. I try to not burn up brakes as much as possible, and we can go into this a little bit later. But I had a really good experience with the brake setup that I ran. It made a huge difference for me.
I actually wanted to ask you about those during this podcast as well, if that came
Yeah,
up. I wanted to see how they were.
definitely. Patrick, how'd you guys fare? I can't believe. I mean, you had a last minute co-driver swap coming up from
Yep.
Kentucky.
Yeah. Yeah, luckily Josh came down from Kentucky. He was 4.5 hours away, and it was just at the drop of a hat. He was like, "Yeah, I'll come down and be your co-driver. I don't know what to do, and I don't know how to use the maps, but we'll figure it out." So that was cool. With him. He's a
Best
great guy.
memories are made that
He's
way.
one
Come
of
on.
them guys that'll give you a shirt off his back if he
Percent ride or die for life from
Yeah.
Josh.
As far as the route was concerned, it was okay for me. I liked last year's route a lot better. I didn't mind the laps format. I kind of wish we didn't repeat a lap, and I think there was just a little too much blacktop this time. There was a lot of blacktop and passing a lot of houses, which Jed mentioned in the drivers' meeting the day before.
Yeah.
Other than that, we didn't really have any trouble navigating besides 2 wrong turns. Can't remember which road it was, but it split going up toward Ashland, and both roads were Route 11 if you looked at the map.
Yep. With the wooden sign.
Yeah, with the wooden sign. When I didn't see the wooden sign, so I was looking for Route 11, and I chose the wrong 11. But we went down at a couple hundred feet, and Aaron screamed at me on the radio, "Hey, you're going the wrong way." So turned around and got back out. And then I can't believe I did it when we were down in the creek from last year where everybody got lost. And somehow I got back on that track that went toward the pond in the back. And I
Mhm.
knew in my head, hey, I need to stay left to get out of here. And for whatever reason, I went straight. And it went down in this hole that I had to turn around to get back out of. And when I went to get back out, I didn't put it in 4 low. It's a pretty gnarly climb to get back out of there. That was muddy, and I
Yep.
got high centered.
Yeah.
So Aaron had to turn around and come winch me out of that hole. Kind of embarrassing, but it happens.
Yeah. I did last year's event. I did the exact same thing. That's why the side of my bedside's caved in from falling off that hill. So even when you know it, it's confusing in there. As far as my route, obviously I had a pretty solid experience. Ended up coming in, I think 16 hours and 5 minutes. But I do agree there was a lot of residential. I kept on my CarPlay unit that's like on my dash. I kept that in the satellite view so I could kind of see where houses were. And it was hard because the roads were like perfect to really let go on, but definitely needed to back it down. One of the sections that I was like really white knuckling at, I believe it was on lap 2. It was, is it Blue Stone Lake or Blue Lake? Whatever the natural lake area is. I found that to be really tricky because every corner was like a 90-degree blind corner, and it never failed. Every time I make a corner, someone was in the corner. So I like really went slow through there. But the rest of the course, like lap 1 in that gravel that was out in the middle of nowhere, that is really where the frontier is at its best. That flowy gravel, I could pretty much put it in second on the it's an automatic, but second on the gear select and just kind of roll into it and ride it. And it has a true track in the rear end. So when I'm cornering, as long as I stay under throttle, I can get it to rotate the way I want. So I was really successful at that. And actually, I think I even mentioned it in the video, but I had to back it down in the lap 1 because I was so quick through those sections that when I got onto the asphalt, it made things even worse because now you're moving faster. So I had to do some mental math to make sure I came in at the correct time. As far as, lap 2 and 3 and 4, I liked 2 and 4. I liked lap 2 a lot more than I liked lap 4, and not because of the dark, but because of the side by side and the 4-wheeler guys in Ashland. I don't know if you guys ran into that or not, Patrick and Aaron, but there was one instance where I came around a corner and there was a group of people cheering for me. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. I got a little bit closer and there was a fire in the road. And I'm like, hey, like, I need to go. And they're like, yeah, whoa, Frontier. Never saw one like that. I'm like, yeah, guys, like, I really appreciate it. But like that's the way I have to go that way. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah. Well, and they like moved their stuff, but they were in the actual road. I'm like, guys, like, just so you know, like, there's going to be a whole bunch more people that are still coming through here. Just be careful. And they were all trashed, you know?
Yep. I ran into the Ashland crowd. We even got
Yeah.
behind some of them, which slowed us down.
And just coming around the corners, they were literally just hanging out in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
standing there.
yeah. I mean, I crashed in Ashland. It was actually, I thought I was going to end my whole night and the truck. So basically, I'm coming around a corner. I'm doing like 15. You know, it was dark and dusty. And from what I can tell, there was a guy in a side by side whose light bar was wired to ignition. So as soon as he turned this thing on, the sun just came out and blinded. Trying to see, and he sees that I'm like wrecking, and he turns the light bar off. Well, when my eyes refocused, there was a truck and trailer, and the trailer was basically in the whole lane. And I'm still moving at 15, 20, 25 miles an hour. And when I touched the brake, it was just all gravel. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I couldn't tell at this time, like, if there's a person standing there or what. So I just was like, well, I'm going in the ditch. I thought the ditch was going to be like a foot or two deep. It was not. It was like truck deep. So I do like this 50-50 grind down the ditch because it's like asphalt and gravel. And I go into the ditch. The truck is laying on like the passenger side door, and the front bumper had just pounded into earth or something. And I'm like, well, that's it. It's broke. And I looked down and the thing was still running and I didn't see any lights. All right. I reached down, put it in 4-wheel drive. I heard it click into 4 low. I put it into reverse, hit the gas, it plopped back on all 4s, backed out. None of those guys came and looked to see if I was good. They were just like hooting and hollering and took off. So Ashland was outrageous.
I had something similar come over a crest, and there's a guy on a side by side sitting at the top of the crest with all their lights on, pointed at the center of the road, at the top of the hill, pointing down. It's like, I know you're drunk off your ass. I know you are, but
yeah, right, exactly.
The second time we came through at night, there was we passed that, I think it was like a Nissan Altima, and a like an old busted up Chevrolet 1500 with a trailer behind it, and they were just flying down the road coming at us.
I got stuck behind a trailer coming out of there, and he was very elderly gentleman pulling a trailer, and he was doing like 2 or 3 miles an hour, and I was getting so anxious. I was like sweating because all I could think about was like, I don't know how far ahead I am. Like, I really think I can win. I want to win, you know? I'm like, all right, I'm not going to flash my lights at this guy because I feel like that'd be a jerk. So I turned my lights off. I turned them on. I did that a couple times. And he pulled over. He's like, is everything okay? And I'm like, look, buddy, long story. I'm in a competition. I really appreciate you. It just took off. So yeah, man, Ashland was interesting, especially at night. Who did anyone have a favorite lap or a favorite segment? Logan.
I mean, I of course like the roughest road there was there. I guess it was probably towards the end of lap 2, right? I think the little hill, well, the rockiest section there. I don't know if that was, I guess Mutiny Hill probably was the name of it.
Yeah, I think that's Mutiny Hill. There.
That, and actually, okay, I may have had a more favorite section. Some of the mountain climbs in the gravel that are steep, tight turns, I could run away from anybody that was around basically because with all-wheel drive, I mean, I have no choice. It's always an all-wheel drive. And I've got the automatic locker in the back. And with that V8, you can just throw it down in first gear and just floor it every single turn. And we don't care about the thing really. So we're just slamming that poor clunking shifter down into first gear and just, and then, you know, you notice like 5 minutes later, there's like nobody around. You're like, man, that was kind of fun. And then, you know, you get on the road and you don't have sway bars and you're like, oh, there they are. Man, that's just awesome. Then the temperature gets a little warmer though. I gotta put a better fan on that thing or something. But
Yeah.
that is just so fun. I almost like that better than the rock crawling. I mean, the rock crawling's okay. We hadn't done anything this time that was that technical.
Yeah.
It's not
I agree.
super challenging, but
Yeah. Kyle, do you have a favorite spot?
I liked both, honestly. Well, for the part that I did see of 2, I liked both of them pretty equally. One, I liked the rockiness of 2. It was a little more technical. You had to take your time, but obviously the overheating part kind of sucked. But 1 was fun because as long as there wasn't anybody ahead of you just kicking up dust, you were able to just kind of let loose in a way and just rally it through.
Definitely.
There were some sketchy parts of 1, but I think it was of 1. I came around a turn and there was a washout and I missed it with my front tire and I hit it so hard with the rear that the rear actually smashed up into the fender well. And I'm still cruising quick. I'm just listening and I'm like, well, I don't hear any banging, grinding or nothing. That's all. We'll just keep going. I'm pretty sure James grabbed the handle and thought he was gonna die at that point, but
yeah.
it was fun.
Aaron, what about you guys?
I'm a huge fan of Camp Creek Trail.
Yeah.
But that's the first time, even living down here, that's the first time I've done it in that direction. I've always done it the other way. And in these outbacks, I have trouble. That large rock that's right at the beginning before you got into the water, it's on the left side.
Yep.
Coming the other direction, I'm skinny enough I can get around it, but I always hook my rear tire on it every time.
Okay.
So it's just fun to see it in a different direction.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of people were fortunate that it didn't rain.
Yes. Because it gets
Camp
slick
Creek.
right there. That coming up both sides get very slick when it's wet.
is that on lap 2?
Yes. That's the large
The one
water
that said
crossing.
Slick Rock.
Possibly.
The one that Jed he had one of them pinned as Slick Rock.
Yeah.
No, that was at the beginning.
Yeah.
Was
that's
that
a
okay?
River Road.
Yeah, Camp Creek was before the wooded section, which I guess is called Mutiny, I guess.
I think so. Patrick, what about you guys? What was your favorite section?
I don't think I had a favorite. I definitely had a least favorite, and that was that half gravel, half asphalt road out of Crumpler. I hate driving that road,
Yep.
I'm never
especially
going
in the
to Crumpler.
Montero, because it literally just beats your kidneys out the whole time.
Yep. And it's like 1.5 lanes wide.
Awful.
No, I feel that. My favorite, probably a toss-up. So in stage 1, lap 1, there was a right-hander and a big yellow gate for like a gas line. It was on a gravel road. From there, for about the next 3 or 4 miles, it was like 2.5 lanes of gravel, and you could just really lay into it. There was one section coming through there, 45 miles an hour on gravel feels like 80, and I hit this one rise, and you can see, well far ahead of you. And I hit this one rise, and all 4 tires came off the ground, and I'm sure that they came off the ground 4 inches. I'd love to beat my chest and say it was but I bet you it was probably 4 inches. But boy, let me tell you, 4 inches feels pretty dang good, if you know what I mean, when you're driving through there. And it was just enough that it hit like the limiter as the back tires were up in the air, and I was like, man, this is awesome. And as soon as that happened, I went from being kind of sleepy and dazed to like, man, I am in the zone. So that was really fun. And then the other section that I really liked was actually on lap 3 after Beckley. There was a gravel section through there, same deal. It was in the middle of nowhere, real flowy. And again, I think that's where the Frontier does its best. I mean, obviously, the Crumpler stuff was fun, but like I didn't need 4-wheel for any of that. So it wasn't like I was like wheeling, it didn't feel like really that much of an obstacle. But it was fun to drive through, and I'm sure doing it at a pace where you can like actually look around and enjoy stuff would be pretty cool. Now, this is what I was most excited to talk about. What was the most outrageous thing that you guys came and encountered, whether it happened to you or you saw it? Logan, I could guess what yours is, but go ahead.
I mean, becoming Tarzan is up there. That was pretty, looking back, rather embarrassing. And then, I mean, changing brakes was also pretty interesting with Kyle, because we were like halfway through lap 3. I mean, we had gouged the rotors with the backing of the pads. So everything, and this happened in Mothman. Right after I stopped to help someone, it just goes downhill like immediately. In Mothman, we helped a dude, got passed by like seemingly like half the rally, and got held up down in that gully there near I can't remember, somewhere at before the first checkpoint. We got held up for like an hour and a half, and that just kind of ruined our chances of finishing in 24 hours. Then this time I helped to do it on a motorcycle immediately, like literally less than a mile from where we helped the guy. I was like, oh, I'm pretty far in the front. I started early. I got time. Literally within a mile, there's this dude yelling at people in the road and got a whole bunch of people stopped saying there's some dude down over the hill. I guess somebody rolled a side by side. It was right after you cross under 77 on lap 2.
Okay.
And so that started it. Then we pulled the vine out of there. Probably would have killed pedestrians. I hit the media guys' trucks. They threw me the bird. I'm like, how big? They're like, that thing's, you got a branch. It's big. It's huge. We literally cut it up and it filled up like the whole back end of the Mountaineer. And then we just threw it out somewhere in the woods. Cause I got to civilization. I'm like, it's so big. I can't even leave it on the road. Like I can't even throw it into the ditch. It's like 30 feet long.
Yeah, to paint you guys a picture of this, because I saw the picture of this thing cut up in the vehicle, and it just looked like they went and gathered firewood for like days. But essentially, they hit this vine, and it got tangled in either the roof rack or basket.
It caught on the jack foot. That's
Okay.
all. It just snagged. It was down near the last media section of lap 2, kind of down on the bottom of the creek bed or whatever.
Yeah.
That area.
How long were you dragging it?
I ended up probably dragging it for like 3 or 4 miles, maybe 5 miles.
And this thing was no joke, probably 30 feet long.
I might as well have tied an extension ladder to my vehicle and drug it down the road. The lady behind me, and this is kind of where I was like, I don't know if this is a big deal. Like I should stop. Some people are like, oh, you should probably stop and check that out. Then the one lady behind us, she's like, oh, it makes a cool noise when you go by the guardrails. And I'm like, well, maybe it's not that big of a deal. It was bad. It was really bad. If somebody on a motorcycle would have hit it, they would have probably died. No joke. Like that mountain going down into Hinton, the pavement.
Yeah.
If a dude on a Harley, if they think grass clippings are bad, and they would have had no chance.
Shoot, that's awesome. Well, I'm glad that Camo doesn't have any blood on their hands.
Russ is just a little upset there over at OVR.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bought some of his pictures.
He sent him an apology note.
Yeah, I was like, I think we might be okay, but yeah, not a good look, not a good funny story. Last night, I sent it to the group. I ran into a ditch, or no, I didn't run into a ditch. I hit a pothole in my Subaru and bent the wheels. Immediately stopped, checked on it. Good thing I did. I was like, I'm not about to drive 5 miles again before something really bad goes wrong. I learned my lesson last weekend.
My Kyle, what about you, man? Craziest thing you guys got into?
Nothing really too crazy. I have like kind of a two-parter. One was that Subaru getting pulled around because they burnt the clutch up. He was getting pulled around by that big blue GMC.
Yeah,
which was if he kept going, it would have ended badly with the direction he was going. Because basically they were going up a switchback, and the GMC started pulling them. It worked fine the direction they were going, but as soon as the GMC started making the turn, the Subaru was not following it right and just started getting pulled directly into the trees. So it's a toss up between that and me almost taking out the media guy's camera without me not paying attention.
And that's on film too. So
that is on film. They better put that in the video, because that was a good shot. It looks like it was almost made to happen that direction.
Yeah,
Carl got dash cam footage of that vine smacking into his Ranger too. So
I can't wait to see that.
Those media guys are never going to come back after me. Wrecking their cars, destroying their cameras.
Again, pinstripes, don't even have to compete.
Yeah. Aaron, what about you guys?
We didn't really see anything. We just at the back cruising, trying to think.
Well, that's not entirely true, because I know of a story that your driver, or at the time he may have been your co-driver, may have had an upset tummy.
Oh, that's the second time that's happened to him, actually. Kentucky last year, the 24-hour, I made him throw up. And then this year he throws up again. And I don't know how. I'm smooth.
Like
I'm not stabbing the brakes.
Actually vomit.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember I was there for the Kentucky one.
Yeah, the Kentucky one had happened. You can ask Kyle. I'm a smooth driver. It's not like I was, slamming him against the wall or anything. He just wakes up from nap and says, I got to stop. And before I could even pull over, because I got a Gladiator on my ass, he just chucks on the door. There was no stopping it.
In the interior?
Inside, he didn't even make it out the car.
Couldn't even roll the window down.
Oh, yeah. But it didn't even smell. I
So
don't even know what it was. It had to have been all just water because it didn't even smell like anything. I don't
just
know.
bile.
Yeah, I don't know. But that's twice. I've done it twice. So maybe in Kentucky I can make it 3 for 3.
Maybe he
Yeah.
was just nervous.
I
Bad
think
dream.
he's just a bad passenger. He was complaining about that last I spoke to him. He's just
Yeah,
a
he may
terrible
be.
passenger.
It's
Yeah.
very possible.
It might have been your fault as the driver. The driver is the co-driver to the co-driver.
Yeah.
And, did you make sure that he had enough American spirits? I heard that he didn't get a pack down. So
Well, so he has this little basket up on the top, on the roof, it's mounted on the windshield, right?
yeah.
And I figured out at about 20 degrees, anything in that basket comes flying out, to include the cigarettes that he had up there. So 20-degree down bubble, everything comes out of that basket, left or right, doesn't matter.
Oh, that's awesome.
You did say you're getting in barf bags for Kentucky, right?
Yes, I am. I am bringing barf bags for him.
That's awesome. What about you, Patrick? Most outrageous or crazy thing you guys
Like
did or
Aaron said,
saw?
it was pretty quiet for us. Besides the few wild people we saw in Crumpler, we did get stopped by the natural resource officer at the state park, though.
Yeah.
Coming around the corner, at first I thought I was getting a ticket because the speed limit's 45. You come around the corner where the park entrance is, and it immediately drops to 25. So I come around that corner at 45. I saw the speed limit sign first, and then his cop car was literally just sitting in the middle of the road at the entrance of the park with his. And I'm like, oh, I'm toast. So I slam on the brakes, and as I'm braking, he gets out of his car, and I'm like, gosh, now I got to talk to him. Talk to him. He was very polite, very understanding, but he did complain. He did tell me about all the complaints he had gotten that morning from people driving through the park.
Yeah.
About it was probably 5 to 8 minutes we sat there and listened to him to me.
No.
So we lost a good bit of time there, and then I
Oh.
just, and then after that, I was just putting through the park at 15 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed after you talked to the DNR, and about 100 feet up as we started driving, a car comes around the corner and smacks the shit out of the mailbox as you
Yes,
went past
I
them.
heard it. Yeah, as we passed them, I heard them smack the mailbox, and they just kept going. They didn't stop. But
That's
that's
awesome.
about as interesting as it got for us. Other than that, it was pretty quiet.
Yeah.
So I passed a cop towing the vine going by the Bluestone Lake. And so when I was like, well, if the cop didn't pull out behind me, it can't be that bad, right? That was before I cut it up and saw how big it was. And then also, speaking of cops, we talked to one coming out of Hinton, and there was something that happened with I talked to and or saw multiple
Was
police.
that the 2 sheriff's deputies that were at the top of the hill?
Yeah, where we had to do the bypass for 4.
Where we had to do the bypass? Because
Yep.
by the time we got there, the sheriff's deputies were there talking to the landowner, but I think Jed had left already or wasn't there
Okay.
yet.
Yeah.
Man.
I had a few.
He looked very upset whenever I came over that hill and looked at me, and I was like, I was doing like 5 miles an hour with this beater thing. I was like, oh no, we're in trouble.
I had a few outrageous moments. I'm gonna start with Ashland. So I was the first full-size rig to go through Ashland. So this is lap 2. And
When did you get by? Like, when did you become the first in line of the full size?
I believe it was the first gravel section in lap 2, because the Gladiator had a radiator issue, and the Ineos.
Dude, he had an
stopped with him.
everything. Mitch had an everything issue.
Mitch likes to test the capabilities of the Gladiator to its complete and full potential.
He found the limits.
So as we are coming up into Ashland, those 2 are actually right behind me. Like I can physically see them as we're coming up through Ashland. And we were just cruising, and actually the 3 of us were at a really nice, agreeable pace. Like I thought that we were just going to cruise like that the whole time. And I made the correct right. There were, I think, 3 options or maybe just 2. And it was the rightmost turn. I cruise up there, and they went left for whatever reason, and we're like, oh, it's down here. But I was like really sure that I was good. And I'm bombing up that hill. It was like a pretty decent climb. And what I didn't see was that a tree had come down and taken down what I'm assuming were communication lines. Well, the guy wire for the communication lines was at like bumper height, and I hit it with the bumper, and it came across the truck, up over top of the truck, wrapped around the light bars, and fortunately, I'm assuming either the bumper or the wheel is what it finally caught when it was like tight, but it like stopped the truck. And I was terrified because I thought it was electrified. So for like the first 10 seconds, I'm sitting in the truck like this, trying not to touch the window. And then I got eyes on it. I'm like, okay, I don't think this is electric. So I backed up a couple feet, untangled the truck, and kept going. But that was that could have been really crappy if I hit that at a different angle. Crashing was pretty exciting in that ditch. But I think the one that everyone is most familiar with is Mudman.
Yeah, man.
Oh yeah,
Mudman.
Mudman.
So the story of Mudman. So the final river section before you're coming back into Hinton.
Now, to preface this, you were coming across the bridge finishing when we started lap 4.
Yeah.
And the only thing you said to us on the radio was, guys, I've got a story for you. And that's all you said. And you were silent.
Yeah, I was shook up, and the guy that this happened to, it was like, this is just a normal thing.
Do you know his name?
Yeah, Mudman.
Oh yeah, that's right. I saw him on the list.
So I'm coming in through the creek, and I forget the name of that creek, but it's the last off-road section before you come into Nimitz and then head into Hinton. And it was actually right at the section where I had made the wrong turn last year and fallen off of that shelf road. Now, the truck was running not hot, but a little bit warm, and I was like, whatever. I'll roll the windows down and I'll crank the heat just for this last section because there's 10 miles left and I don't want something stupid to happen, whatever. So I roll the windows down, I crank the heat, and all of a sudden I hear, hey, can I get a hand? And I'm like, whoa, what? I jack the brakes and I yell back just into the darkness because I don't see anything. I'm like, where are you? And this voice from it's almost sounded like underwater was like, I'm down over this ravine. I'm like, what? So at this time, I'm thinking it's a side-by-side. And now, I'm a little bit annoyed because you guys know, I'm not like a super big side-by-side guy, but I'm going to help this person, whatever. Please flip the thing back over, whatever. So I hop out, I grab my headlamp, and I round the corner and I look down and I don't see anything. And then I see this little light I can't see because it's shining right at me. So I turn my light on and then I see it. So there's a big marsh. So this ravine is probably, 30, 40 feet. It's pretty steep. And it goes into this deep, wet, marsh, muddy mess. And the first thing I see is this rear tire of a motorcycle. I'm like, oh shit, I'm looking around and I was just about to say, hey, where are you? And my light splashed and I found this helmet. Well, then my eyes focused and I realized that the only thing sticking out of the mud is a helmet and an arm of this guy, and the bike is on top of him and the rest of him is under the mud. So I'm like, holy shit. I go running down there and he's cool as a cucumber. He's like, yeah, this isn't ideal. I'm like, are you okay? He's like, yeah, no, I'm fine. I'm just really stuck. Yeah, if you could just get the bike. I'm like, yeah, man, I'll get it. So I flip the bike off of him and I go to get him up and he's stuck. So I bear hug the dude. We stand up together and I'm like, are you okay? He's like, oh yeah, I'm fine. Thanks. And his demeanor is this is just a normal, meh kind of deal, right? But he was literally buried in mud. And so I get him on the bike and we go to get him started and he flops right back over. I'm sure he's exhausted, We both fall in this mud and pick him up again, pick the bike up again, pull it out. And I'm like, hey man, just hop the creek, get on the creek and, you'll catch the trail. You'll be out. He's like, oh, cool. Gets on the bike, starts it, just rode off like nothing happened. It's all right, dude. And so I hop back in the truck and I was shook up. Who knows when the next person that was through there was going to be. A side-by-side so loud probably wouldn't hurt him. And I was just laughing when I got back because he was completely unfazed. And there I am shaking like a leaf that this guy could have drowned in mud.
He only finished, I think, 2 vehicles after you too.
Yeah.
It was you, then there was a bike, and then him.
Yeah.
Did he say how he got down in there and fell?
So what I think actually happened is the less extreme version. I think he did what you did, didn't make the left, and then flopped into the mud. I don't think that he flipped into the mud, but I didn't ask.
Do you know how long he was in the mud before you even rolled up on them?
Well, so I asked him, and the answer I got was not long. So I don't know. Knowing Mr. Positivity here, it could have been 30
Like 30
minutes.
minutes.
Dude, I would have
Mudman,
been panicking.
if you're listening to this, you're more than welcome to come on.
Yes, please. We need an interview with the Mudman. I need to know the full story. I'm just glad I wasn't imagining it, because we actually met him on the way through. At the end.
The crazy
be
thing about that
honest.
whole thing too is every video you ever watch about the Appalachian Mountains, they say if you hear anything, don't just ignore it. Keep going.
Yep.
Nick didn't listen to that. He
I
searched
thought-
for it.
I thought you sent these clips of Mudman. Everybody was like reacting and like, ha, or like, wow. I thought it was a joke. I thought you were like talking to yourself in the video to be funny. I didn't watch it for a while, and I thought it was a spoof or something. And I'm like, Mudman, oh, that's pretty good. It was pretty late at night, and he's just making jokes, to stay
Yeah.
awake. And then I watched it and was like in disbelief.
Jed was all for it too, because when Nick came through, he's like, "Wait till you guys meet Mudman." Every bike that came through that Jed sees, like, "Are you Mudman? No, you're too clean. Are you Mudman?" And he's like, and he sees the other guys like, "You're definitely Mudman because you're covered head to toe, bikes covered in mud and everything."
Yeah, he's like, "What number is he?" And I'm like, "Bro, mud.
Mud.
Like, you don't understand. He was impregnated in mud or with mud." Yeah, I'm glad he was good. But yeah, that was pretty outrageous.
If he
That was
wasn't
fun.
in good spirits, he probably would have drove himself crazy. Because depending on how long he was there for, if he wasn't in good spirits the whole time, he would probably like, he would have probably quit.
I would have panicked in like 5 minutes, if not sooner.
I
mean,
would
it
have a
was
panic attack
not
and probably
good.
just drown myself. I'll drown myself in that mud.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, and like I wasn't thinking straight. I'm looking at this dude just buried in mud, and then I go to get him, and I just step into it. It's like over my knee.
Well, I think the best part in the whole video of, you pulling over and stopping is the audible sigh of, man, I got to stop.
Yeah.
Because, like the whole thing, you said, what, your guy, you tracked 10 minutes of stop time.
Yeah.
And the majority of that
totally.
had to have been helping Mudman. So you just hear in your voice the disappointment of having to stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then
Because
the change after that, when he puts his headlamp on and he picks up speed,
Full energy.
like immediate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I said, when I pulled up to that, for whatever reason, like bike was not what I was thinking. All I could think of was like a side-by-side drove off of this, and there's going to be some 300 horsepower buggy
And
laying
just
on
dug
its
himself
side,
down.
and I'd be like, now I'm
Spend
gonna
like
be here
30
for-
minutes winching him out.
Yeah, right. And I would have done it. I wouldn't have been happy about it, but I would have done it. But then, yeah, I see it's a dude. I'm like, oh shit.
Nick's change when he puts the headlamp on is like when you wake up late for work.
Yes. Yeah.
Like you skip the alarm, you're like, "Oh, I'm too tired for this," but then you wake up, it's like you had to be there at 8, it's 7:55, and you instantly just wake up, have so much energy.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I look like an absolute like idiot in the in-car video after that. I was just like adrenaline dumped. I'm like freaking out. Like he could have died.
Were you still wearing your compression socks when you jumped in the mud?
Yeah. Which listen, that kept my legs clean. So for anyone that didn't see my Steve Irwin look in the video, that's one of my secrets. So for foot and ankle and calf fatigue, just grab yourself some big long socks, pull those babies up. You look like a total dork. I mean, the dorkiest of dorks. It didn't help that mine were like Steve Irwin tan, but yeah, that's the move. Throw those babies on. But yeah, it was fun, man. It felt good coming in. I mean, obviously, I put a lot of prep into it, and I don't think that I really shit talked anyone or anything about it, but I definitely talked a big game when it came to prep and being ready for it. So I'm glad that I didn't like not place or DNF or do terrible or crash badly. But yeah, I had a great time. Anything you guys want to add on your mind about it?
I mean, I think I have one question.
Yeah.
I saw, obviously in the Facebook, everyone complaining about this and that or things they do differently and how they want to see it. And I think, a reoccurring one that I'd be curious to see everyone's thoughts on are, it's not a race, right? Obviously it's not a race, but you're still timed and you still get something for first, right? Like what are your thoughts on that, Nick, or anyone that wants to answer? Like, would you like to see it done differently? Kind of outrageous rewards, sent like, I don't know, whoever finished it with the highest mileage vehicle or something like that,
So I definitely I would like to see more superlative type things at the reception, even if they're ridiculous. Oldest vehicle, highest mileage, most stock vehicle. I think that keeps
Closest
everyone.
to 24 hours.
Yeah. I think, or most consistent pace, stuff like that keeps people engaged. I don't think that we need to transcend into like a cash purse for things like this. However, with like the Appalachian Outlaws coming out and these massive landowners who would probably be interested in hosting something like that, I mean, yeah, some cash purse like that would be pretty cool, But at the same time, like I know I like to talk about, my truck being like, built for this and whatnot, but I mean, not really. I kind of like to just cruise. I know the last couple years I've been pretty dang hard on the truck, but I still like camping. I mean, the O in camo is overland, it's not off road. We do a lot of off roading, but I don't want to completely destroy the truck building it as a race truck. So even if something like that were to come into play where there was a, overland racing circuit, at least with what I have right now, I wouldn't get into it. But I can pretty much guarantee you I would probably buy something to build to get into it because I do live for this stuff. I mean, it's fun.
Overlanding's always a fun time, but it's always nice to do this kind of stuff, get out of your system, and also
For sure.
raise money for the good causes that we help out.
Yeah, round of applause for everyone on that, right? What, like 12 grand for Wheeling for Hope? So that was pretty good.
5.
Yeah. I think it was a
Yeah.
little over 12 grand. And I think Jed said something about like 1.5 million into the economy in just those 3 days we were there.
Yeah, well, I think 1.2 of that was actually me fueling the Yukon on the way there.
That's what, yeah.
Yeah, with so many people that came, that's a good point. More people is more money for everybody else.
I'd like
I mean,
to
this-
see if they could maybe tighten up the competition a little bit. I know some of the faster people like Nick are finishing 16 hours,
Yeah.
17 hours, full size. I'd like to see it to where the competition is a little closer and would make
Yeah.
it a little more competitive.
Yeah, so like add a fifth lap for everyone that runs, Class A.
Well, my hot
I
take
don't know about
was
that. Maybe like I want to see the finishing times closer together
Yeah.
to make it a little more stressful, a little more competitive.
Yeah, I think for me the way to do that I think is more off-road.
it's either that or it's lowering the top average speed. So you're having to pay more attention. Because, I mean, there was a 10 to 15 between, was it 23 was the minimum, or 21 was the minimum, and 35 was the high.
Yeah.
Make it under
Yeah,
30
but-
as the top, and that way you're not, you have to slow down. You have to.
Yeah, but even then, you're still gonna. I mean, you're gonna run into the issue like we saw, in the first half of Mothman, right, where everyone just gets bunched up, and I think same thing will happen if they add more off road. Like,
Yeah, it's true.
Mhm.
for better or worse, like I'd love to see a tight finish line, like that'd be super cool. But I think trying to do that with such a wide berth of rigs that are actually out there. I mean, you have guys like the Ineos Grenadier, Bronco Raptors, everything like these near $100,000 rigs versus and no offense, but like clapped out Monteros and clapped out
Yeah,
Mountaineers.
I mean, hell,
Yeah,
my
or hell,
Frontier's got K on it,
or even a unibody Jeep.
Yeah.
Subaru Forester.
Exactly. So like I
Yeah.
think if we wanted to like see a super tight finish, we'd have to really narrow down these class structures
Which
to
they
be
did in the
uber
beginning.
specific.
They were tire size in the beginning. Even the very first one, I was in a Subaru class. That I wasn't competing against, the Gladiators and the Wranglers. But now it's just full size. Go at it, have fun.
Yeah,
You
I
also have
think,
vehicles too that are like daily vehicles compared to like I think it was On Point Fabrication. They brought out like a really nice Jeep. It was fully built, full tubular, king shocks, big tires, lockers, everything. Like that's way more like that's going
Yeah.
way more pro than amateur
And I
styles.
think just
Last year when they ran the tire classes, I think that was a little more fair, I guess you could say. I don't know what
Yeah.
would be a better word for it.
yeah, but I think if they do something like it has to be kind of a hybrid, right? Because running the Class A, Class B, Class C, I think helps split the gaps, which I think is really needed because it limits that congestion. Without that, it's kind of a nightmare.
It definitely felt like just from Hinton last year when I rode Russ, it definitely seemed not as bunched up this time. I felt like we got bunched up more by the locals in the ATV parks than we did our own group.
Yeah. Yeah, it could, I mean, for me, this would probably take away from it a little bit because I like to go fast. But I think if you looked at a point structure and that point structure was based off of things like moving time, stop time, consistent average speed, the difficulty there would be scoring it, right? Like for one person to do that based off of a GPX file, that would take like a week, for people that
Yeah,
are being
but
competitive with it.
I will say it would be interesting how it comes into play next year because Jed said they're starting to use I can't remember the name of the app, but that designated essentially like a transponder app-based system. And I think
Yeah.
that'll make it really interesting because then he has all that extra data points to play with if he wants to do some kind of
Yeah.
scoring
he
method.
said on there that it'll include like speed zones and stuff, and it'll actually penalize you real time if you're speeding through the speed zone.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of like that, especially if it's limited to like residential national park, state park areas.
Yeah.
I would probably be less excited if it was like County Road 331 in the middle of the woods and it's gravel.
Because
Yeah.
essentially, we're getting to the point where we're doing a time distance speed rally. Essentially,
Yeah.
without all the
something that-
instructions and paperwork to go with it.
Coming
Right.
from the bike world a little more, like it's pretty common to do, if you do like a bike rally or like a ride or whatever, you have a course that's slightly different based on dirt bike dual sport versus adventure bike classes. So, you could find a few roads that are just rough and be like, if you want to run the class A, you're doing the hardest one. And then if you're B, maybe you can run the hardest one, but you're not, and maybe base it off tire sizes. That way you don't get bottled up. And I know that I guess they tried to do that before when they started out people in different, I mean, I think they look at that even now, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't
You're
mind
onto
seeing
a good idea though of having different routes for different classes.
Yeah, and I wouldn't mind seeing it. I wouldn't mind seeing that. I don't know. I don't know what everybody else's thoughts are.
The very first one that went from Seneca to Point Pleasant was that way. Side by sides and had a different route than the full size.
Yeah.
Well,
Yep.
And I
think
never
that's
ran
because
into
of
a
the
side by side.
That's because they can't run through the
National
national
Forest.
forest there.
Y-
But they
Yeah.
did this
Yeah.
year. We were through in the National Forest. We were in.
Not in
yeah,
Point-
we were
Not in the point,
River-
not in
River Gorge
Mothman.
is
this year. This one we were in the
Oh,
National
sure.
This
Forest.
Hinton was.
Yeah, so I
Yeah,
don't know what
River
has changed.
Gorge
Yeah, it
is
was.
forest land now.
Yeah.
Maybe it's
Well, is
because
it
it's
because
an
of the-
actual road.
Well,
Yeah.
see,
Is it because of the Senate bill passing?
I have no clue what the change was. But I will say
Yeah.
the very first one, I never ran into a side by side, and it was wonderful.
Yeah. See, I kind of like running with them.
I actually thought, as far as letting people pass or getting by people, I thought everybody was really nice, and I was able to pass whenever I wanted or
You
let
weren't in the
people
back.
by. That
You were not in the back then.
wasn't more of a pain back there.
There was nobody on the radio on a side by side. Bikes would come out of
That's
nowhere,
I
no
think
lights
now
on.
there is a big one.
Yeah.
I think
I agree
you
there.
need to be required to have a working one at the starting line, and if you don't,
Yeah.
you do not
Yep.
get to leave the starting line.
I
Yeah,
thought
and
it would
if
have been
that-
part of tech inspection.
That's what I was
It's-
just going to
Well,
ask.
it is,
I
but
don't.
they're like, "Do you have a radio?" Oh, yeah, I got a radio.
The tech inspection was bullshit. I'm going to tell you
Yeah,
right now.
I was curious. What
They
so
didn't
what was
look
the
at
tech
anything.
inspection?
They asked questions.
Because in
and
my
you
past
answered
ones,
them.
I haven't.
Yeah. So
That's what they
for me, I was asked if my battery was tied down. Meanwhile, like there's 23 gallons of gasoline in an Amazon fuel cell bolted to a plastic deck drawer 4 feet behind my head. I mean, granted, it's installed in a safe way, but like probably check that. Just look
Yeah,
at it. But I agree fully. And like, all right, here's where my anti side by side is going to come out. I'm not really anti side by side, but like kinda.
It's anti side by side stereotypical driver is what it is.
If you can spend $30,000 on a machine, you can spend $500 on a helmet with a radio so that we can talk to everybody so that you don't die when we're coming around a corner or stopping or vice versa, or if there's an emergency, or just so that you yourself can let me know, hey, truck, get out of my way if I can't see you because there's a dust ball behind me. So yeah, I agree fully. Side by sides.
It wasn't
there
just side by sides. There were several full size that on the radio people would over and over every minute. Hey, can I pass? Hey, can I pass? And no
There was-
response.
Those guys at one point were like an eighth of a mile behind us, asking us to stop so they could pass us. And I'm like, no, I'm not pulling over.
But the
But there was
third
one
time,
point. There was one point we had a side by side right behind me, and he was riding me hard. And I'm like, does he want by? He needs to call. My thing is, you need to call on the radio if you want by. That's the protocol. Nothing. Silence. So I just kept driving my drive, and eventually, Aaron said something. He's like, "Hey, you need to pull over because this side by side is riding us hard."
Yeah. Now, fortunately for me, the side by sides that I did interact with, actually, those guys were all great, and they did have radios. But I did run into people saying numerous times that they weren't able to communicate with the guys in side by side. So
Yeah.
maybe, and honestly, like I know some guys that are from my area that ride that just really like riding. They genuinely might not even know that, hey, you can go and buy a specific set so you can talk and hear over your machine that's comfortable and you're not wearing a big giant race helmet. So maybe that little bit of education for those guys for the next one, especially if there's going to be mixed classes, I think would probably be a pretty solid thing. As far as bikes, like I know they can have the Cenas and whatever else, but a bike is a little bit different. Obviously, it would still be nice if they could talk, but from riding dual sport in the past, I kind of understand the logistics there. They're usually not in the way, or
Oh, they're
if
a
you're
lot
in the way,
easier
they can
to
get
be
around.
passed
They
by.
could do a little bit better job of like flashing their light or honking their horn
or
just
having their
some
light
kind of
on,
signal.
just in
Having
general.
their light on, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I can see you coming up if I see a single headlight because I'm paying attention, I know there's a bike. But when a bike just
Yeah.
appears behind me in the dust, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. And I think all of this tags back to the fact that everyone that's talking right now, inside our hearts, we wish that we were doing this in Baja. But in reality, right, we're doing a charity rally and we're not with professional race truck or race drivers. So we have to be cognizant of that a little bit. Obviously, those things would be perfect, but we're pretty far into the nerd zone when it comes to this, right? Everyone else
Yeah.
is much, much more casual. So maybe what
Tell
can
my wife
we
that.
do? Yeah, I know, right? Mine's inside looking at me. She thinks I'm on some like professional race team call right now with Red Bull. But what I
Mine
guess
knows exactly what I'm up to.
what can we do to make sure that when we're pretending to be Robbie Gordon, that we don't hurt someone or cause an accident? Which, speaking of, how about Robbie freaking Gordon coming?
I don't know. I
mean,
wasn't there
how
to see.
cool is that, dude? That was
There to see him.
He left about 5 minutes before me and James pulled up.
Yeah, he.
But Rupert was there. He was hanging out with us.
Yeah, so Travis's mechanic and from Nitro Circus, he was there. He ran side by side. All good dudes, man.
Showed up 3 hours late and still took, I think, first place? Or no, he showed up 2 hours late. Yeah, 3 hours late. He was supposed to be there at 6 and he left the starting line at 9.
Yeah. But yeah, that's cool. So for those that don't know, Robbie Gordon has affiliation with Speed UTV. So he was there to do some demo and networking with the Speed UTV stuff, which those things are pretty dope. And I don't know this for sure, but I have heard that some of those Speed UTV models are designed with the room to just drop an LS motor into them for racing. So
That's how everything should be.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
Well, that's everything, right, Patrick?
Yeah, I got one sitting in the garage ready for the Montero.
Heck yeah. Let's just all motor swap the nice, reliable overland vehicles.
Well, hey, I got the 5.7. I'm set. I got enough power on that. It just needs a supercharger.
There you go. I started to notice dust becoming an issue as far as power. Even with the snorkel, I looked at my air filter, which was new before I left, and that thing was packed. There was actually a whole leaf, like palm-sized leaf across the air filter, which I'm sure that was super good for filtration. And then the cage for my snorkel actually broke, and pieces of the cage were embedded in the filter as well.
You just have the bowl on your snorkel, don't you? You don't
No,
have
so
you have the directional intake.
yeah, so I had the dust cap, like the Cyclone, but I lost a lot of power with that, and with every horsepower is very much welcomed. So I went back to the standard.
But you had it facing forward, correct?
I did have it forward, yeah.
Yeah. So probably a rear facing, which you
For
probably
sure.
can't turn it, correct?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. I for dust definitely would have it rear facing next time.
Yeah. I kind of thought that I was going to be able to get away with it being up front, but no, it was bad.
I'm afraid to look at mine now.
I pulled mine when we stopped in Glenjean. I pulled mine out and was beating it against the tire, and it was just layers and layers and layers of dust coming out of it.
Yeah. My math looked good, though. I did check my math out. It looked good. As far as damage, I came away unscathed. The only thing that happened was I lost an inner fender, which somebody threw away at the reception and I found in the trash.
That was great. We're all just
That's not
standing
the
there.
first
Just
time
look.
you've lost it, has it?
No,
You
yeah, I
lost
think
it-
I've
you lost
lost
it
it.
again.
Yeah. But yeah, no
So,
damage.
I guess this is the section we talk about the mechanicals of our rigs afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah. How did everyone's trucks fare?
I smelled lots of brakes, especially section 1, that really long downhill.
Yeah.
I smelled lots of brakes, which I think was
Well,
Patrick's.
I had just put brand new brakes on the Montero front pads and rotors. I went to a semi-metallic pad over a ceramic pad because the last time I smoked my brakes going downhill. So I was like, I'm going to get a little bit more aggressive pads and better braking. But it was not, I didn't drive the truck at all before the event, so the brakes were not bed in. They bed in over the next 24 hours, I can tell you that. And they were, after that first long downhill section, I had some pretty seriously bad brake fade, and I didn't think it was going to go away, but it got better as we went.
Yeah, that's good. So I changed brakes as well. I had used a Hawk LTS kit and then I had an R1 Concepts kit, but both of those had a ceramic pad. Actually, I don't know if the LTS had a ceramic pad, but either way, I would get some brake fade. And I did a little bit of digging and I found that if I don't care about pad life and I don't care about noise, that I should look into a high carbon rotor. So all right, I'll try that. So I went with a high carbon blank from Ray Bestas, and then I paired it with their E3 pad, which is like a hybrid ceramic semi-metallic pad. And that was without a doubt the best braking I've ever experienced. I cannot shout that out enough. Like on these, I would not be able to brake as well as I did on these 35s. I could literally lock them up at will and they didn't fade once. It was, as far as I'm concerned, that's the only brake setup I'm ever going to run again. It was very much worth it. And they were cheap.
That's what the Outback here has, is Robestus on it right now.
Yeah, it beat the
I don't even know what brand I bought because it's slim pickings for your 1997 Montero, so you just take whatever Rock Auto offers.
Logan, did you run into any brake issues?
Yeah, I got to try 2 different kinds of pads during the rally. Actually, 3 if you count the full metallic on the one side. Yeah, full metallic. Bet you didn't know about them. No, after we put them brakes on and drove it like, I don't know, maybe 40, 50 miles. Probably 20 or 30 miles. They started to bed in, and they were definitely better than before. I think I had some crappy ceramic pads or something. That thing didn't stop worth anything.
Yeah.
That's why you didn't have anything before.
Well, we did when we got there, but yes, once we got to the metal, it was pretty bad. I'm gonna see if I can get a EBC set of pads.
There you go, some yellow stuffs.
Yeah, they make everything for this somehow, because thankfully anything cool that I can put on the Mountaineers all for Rangers up to like 2012. So it's pretty cool that I can actually get some stuff, but I might put something really aggressive on the front. And the back are actually disc too, which is really nice.
Yeah, definitely. So, Kyle, how are your fingers after changing the flaming razor blades on the Mercury?
I actually only had to do the taking of the wheels off part. Logan did the, I think it was Logan
I had some gloves in the back and I was like, well, I'm going to use those.
So that was one good thing about me not finishing, is that if I wasn't there, you wouldn't have anybody in the group chat to text. That was already done.
Dude, we looked at our not moving time we were there less than 10 or less minutes.
Wow.
Change out.
Well, the one guy walked up. He's like, "Oh, what are you guys doing?" We're like,
"Oh, my goodness, I forgot about that."
Yeah, we're like, "Oh, we're doing breaks." He's like, "Cool, you guys just pulled up. You guys getting ready to go?" He's like, "We're already done." He's getting ready to back out. He's like, "Really? You were here for like 5 minutes?"
Yeah, he's like, "How did you know that it needed it?"
I think it took longer for us to get the tools out of my Jeep than it was to actually just switch everything out that we did.
Yeah,
that's good. That's cool.
I'm so glad I brought that. I brought a last minute the Harbor Freight aluminum racing floor jack that I had stole the nuts off the Crazy Wheels for that guy on the motorcycle. But I was like, well, it doesn't really matter if I have the wheels on the jack because there's no chance I'm doing anything on asphalt like it's gonna roll anywhere I use it. So it might be better if it doesn't have wheels on it.
Did you have a spare set of brake pads with you?
I almost brought some, but no, I did not. I shouted out Kyle, and he went to advance. I called him before 9:00, and of course, because it's Ford Ranger, Mountaineer, Explorer, every other vehicle in Hinton, West Virginia.
Yes.
they had a set of pads in stock, which I knew they would.
Yeah.
He literally texted the Yappin channel, and he's like, "Hey, who's in Hinton right now that could run to Advance and get me pads?" And I was already there, so I said, "I'm there. Let's go." And he called Advance and had a set of brake pads right there on the counter, ready to go.
That's awesome.
That's a huge issue for me. Is I can't get any parts local. Like nobody cares anything in stock. Literally 3 days before the event, I found my output seals on the front diff was leaking, and nobody could get them. So I panicked and ordered 2 from Rock Auto and 2 from AutoZone just to see who would get here first, because they both said they were supposed to get here by Friday. And I was literally standing in the front yard just like sweating bullets. Like it's like 6:00 in the evening on
We're supposed to be there for
Friday-
check-in.
Sorry, it was 4:00 in the evening on Friday. Supposed to be there by 8 p.m. waiting for these parts to show up. They finally show up at like 5:30. Both UPS and FedEx show at the exact same time, hand me the boxes that have the parts in them, go straight in the garage, change the seal out, throw it all together, eat dinner, take a quick shower because I'm covered in grease and everything and dirt, and hop into Montero and head down the Hinton, and made it there at like 7:45.
Yeah, I'd been there for 2 days before you ended up showing
Yeah.
up.
And we live 40 miles
I saw
away.
you guys.
Yeah, we live 40 miles away.
I think I was in front of me rolling in.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You
Yeah.
were.
That's the nice thing about the Mountaineer. Even though it seems kind of obscure, the Sport Track, the Ranger, all the little Mazda pickups, the bajillion Ford Explorers. Unfortunately, a lot of those got choked up by
Cash
what was the
for
thing?
clunkers.
Yes.
Cash for clunkers.
I think that might be the number one or one of the number one vehicles for that.
Yeah. I take solace in the fact that whoever devised that will just burn in hell forever. So,
Oh man.
Funny
But
enough, when the
between all
dealership I
that-
worked at, I had to do those. I was a car
Man.
killer back then.
he was just doing his job.
I
Yeah,
was.
just listening to what they told him to do.
We had a checklist though of every car that we did, and we had a time limit of which car lasted the longest. So at least we made a little bit of fun out of it.
the Ford 300 inline 6. It didn't even quit probably.
Chevy, the square body Chevy Blazer was the smaller one. That was the one that held the record. I think it was like 4.5 minutes was like the time on that.
Just running on
Sad.
glass beads.
Yep, it was liquid until once the engine cooled down, it was just all glass inside of it.
Rest in peace. Good vehicles. Good rally vehicle. A lot of good rally vehicles died in cash for
Oh
clunkers.
yeah.
But
That 5.0 that I have has been, I mean, they've made that since like the 60s. Yeah. Parts are pretty easy to
fortunately, everybody made it home, and I think I had a lot of fun.
Mhm.
Like I always say, everyone there is basically family. If you show up at that registration, there's like a damn near 100% chance that if you threw a pin and it landed on somebody, you'd be their best friend, because everyone there is you, just in a different body. We all like the same stuff.
It's definitely like a family gathering when you go to those things.
Definitely. And many, many thanks to Jed and Backroads of Appalachia, Wheeling for Hope, Mayor Jack, who hooked Camo up with the key to the city of Hinton. So Central Appalachian Mountain Overland has the key to the city
have
of
to
Hinton,
give that
West
back?
Virginia. No.
No, man.
No,
it's not
yeah,
until next year. Oh,
No, this is a
Eternal.
forever. This is a
Eternal.
forever. Yeah. We also have our podcast sponsor here. I think I can legally say that if it's not true. Oliver Brewing Company. So this is
Non-paid sponsor.
yeah, I just chose them. They're our unpaid sponsor. But for real, Don Kelly, Oliver Brewing out of Maryland, he, for whatever reason, listened to our dumbasses and was like, "Hey, can I bring beer?" And I'm like, "Does Brett Favre wear Wranglers? Yes, you can bring beer." And the guy that I'm showing up, he's like the nicest guy ever. His son came with them. I think they actually went and ran. But yeah, great
They were
beer.
behind me actually for a while. Actually, when my Jeep was overheating, they were behind me.
Yeah, they're good people there. Big thank yous to the wives and girlfriends of Camo and families and kids of Camo for putting up with us, beating and banging on our shit boxes the weeks and months preceding the event, and explaining why we needed to buy X, Y, and Z, even though we just bought X, Y, and Z.
They were just maintenance items, I swear.
Yeah, just accepting that we're pretending, and I really like to pretend. But and thank you guys. I mean, it would be really boring if I didn't have anyone to go down and yap with. You know, I would have to meet other people to yap to. But you guys have anything to add?
What's next for Camo?
What's next? So funny you should ask. So it is Kentucky. It's just not the 24 hours Kentucky. So regretfully, we've had something planned for the kids the same weekend of the Kentucky 24 hours. So I will not be there. However, the weekend prior, I do plan on being there and doing some camo overlanding. I don't want to go beat the shit out of the trucks though, but I still want to like run the trails and stuff down there. But I'd like to camp. I'd like to. Patrick, do you remember the place that we stayed? It was like Turtle or Turkey something campground.
The last time, or
Yeah, it was the.
one where we went down the hill and stayed in the lower half.
Yep. Yeah. So I'd like to stay there one night.
I'd have to look on my Gaia. I can't remember what it was called.
But yeah, instead of just staying at Callie's, I would like to stay on trail and have some good camping and mix in wheeling and some sightseeing and kind of back to the roots of, you know, getting out there and exploring, doing some wheeling, but not just like total rig destruction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, you know, friendly for everybody, obviously, who's, you know, welcomes a few cuts and scrapes. But yeah, I'd like to get a big group together for that. I'm actually working on the route for that right now. As I'm getting just absolutely lit up by a storm right now. I don't know if you guys can hear or see that, but yeah, I have a route almost done, and sometime here over the weekend, I'm gonna post the details of the who, what, when, and where.
Nice. I
There
know
are a few
Patrick
of
and
us
I.
that are going to brave Kentucky
Yep.
for the next 24-hour event.
Yeah,
I did not finish in the top 10 to get invited, but I put my name in the drawing, and I got an email when everybody else did. So
nice.
excited about that. We'll see how. The only goal was to finish. I don't have a time goal for Kentucky. It's just finish.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I think
It's,
the benefit is actually like the Montero is kind of at home there. I feel like that
it will
terrain
be a
is
much slower.
Yeah, it'll be slower pace. I should do pretty good. I'd hope. My brother's gonna, our other brother Derek is definitely gonna get a workout running the winch probably. So
well, that's good.
I'd love to do it, but I don't know if I'm gonna. I have a baby coming and got to get a room done, but it's just some drywall and flooring. So
That's what you tell yourself.
Yeah, listen,
You got time.
yeah,
you got
You're
time.
good.
And here's what I'll say. So I was terrified. I have 4 kids, and I was terrified.
I keep telling my wife, I was like, "There's so many guys that have kids." That,
Yeah, listen, our last
yeah.
trip looked like a daycare. We had so many kids. It was great. There were kids running around all over the place.
That's great. That's great. My wife wants 3+. So
Well, perfect. What you'll see, is the first pretty much like 6 months, you're pretty much useless. You know, you just make sure mama is healthy, happy, fed, bathed. You know, baby doesn't want you, baby doesn't care. It's fine. It'll change, but your support staff, you know, those first couple of months. And I was
get used
terrified.
to not sleeping.
Yeah, you
Get
won't
used to
sleep.
not sleeping.
You know, but I was terrified that I would not get to keep doing this. You know, that was like, you know, obviously driving your truck into the woods and camping, like anyone can go and do that. But I feel like we did a good job of building something pretty cool. And I was terrified, like, shit, I'm having all these kids. Like, I'm not going to be able to do this. But now, like, my daughter just turned 5. My oldest son is going to be 4. You know, they're like into it. So they do it with you. You know, your speed and style changes a little bit, but they do it with you. So don't get nervous that it goes away, because it's just a quick pause and then you're right back in the driver's seat.
good to know.
Plus, I mean, the kids of camo pretty much outnumber the adults of camo at this point. I mean, it's actually crazy.
Yeah.
Got to keep the camo legacy going.
So Curtis, you guys are expecting as well in, was it March?
No, November.
Oh, jeez, I didn't realize it's that close.
Yeah,
That's
So
right.
Hinton was planned to be like my big final send off until the baby girl comes, and now I'm just kind of on pause. I might try and do like Union Springs or Bald Mountain here again soon. Just
Dude,
for a
hit me
day.
up. That's my backyard.
Yeah, man. John and I were
Yeah.
planning something now, so I'll shoot you a note when we lock it down.
Yeah, for sure.
Sweet.
I'd like to do that. Baby's due in March, so we got a little
Oh,
time.
yeah, you
but
see,
You're
dude,
the
you're fine. You're fine for
Thanksgiving,
Kentucky.
Christmas,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah,
Yeah.
You're
yeah.
fine for
I
Kentucky.
gotta find somebody to go with me. It's like
Yeah,
I'm
come
like
on out
the
to Kentucky, Logan.
Yeah, I was
What'd you
looking
say?
at it, and it's like 4 weeks before the due date, and I'm like, wife would
See, that's
kill me
that's
if
where
I'm
I
like
am
8.5 hours away in Kentucky, and I'm just
That's where I am on
destroying
Mothman
my truck.
next year. Yeah, yeah.
It's all good. Well, all exciting stuff, guys. I think we've talked everyone's ears off for what, about an hour and a half now. So until next time, keep the rubber side down and the mostly shiny side up. And we're gonna be back. We have lots of cool stuff planned to talk about. So if you like hearing us yap, keep coming back and we'll keep on yapping. So thanks, guys.
See ya.